Here at Bowlers Exhibition Centre in Manchester. The Premiership is growing. We've got a crowd multiple times bigger than we've seen before. The excitement in the room is palpable, and this is going to be a cracker, I think, to open us up. I don't think we could have got a better fixture first off to really fire everybody up.
Absolutely, MnM versus Vexed. It's certainly going to be one for it's one not to miss, if you will. We are midway. Well, we have actually finished the operator bans now, and we're seeing some things that we've not necessarily seen before. We're going to see the book ban coming out, Hibana, Mirror and Maestro. So very standard bans on defense, but the attacking bans there maybe a little bit unusual.
Yeah, like you say, the book we don't see too often, but there is a lot of use for book on coastline and getting underneath particularly. I mean, Penthouse is a site that we're really not seeing very much of, but if you look at hooker billiards particularly, the entire floor is destructible through there and in aquarium. So getting underneath that in Sunrise in Blue Bar can be devastating. So not too much of a surprise to see the book go. I think it's one of those, it's an outside pick, but it's understandable.
I think it's more unusual because of the operators that it leaves available. So we've got Glaz available, we've got Dockerby available, we've got some of those operators that you would usually look to remove, especially when playing coastline. We've got a lovely stat there saying book has been banned at 0% this season, so it is certainly something unusual. And that really just plays into it for me. I think, is this something that either team have kind of figured out? Have Vexed said, you know what, we're going to do something a little bit unusual there and we're going to ban the book, and that's going to free us up to be able to bring one of these high impact operators when it comes to their attacking phase.
Certainly, so looking towards round number one then. MnM coming in with a reasonably standard lineup there for a kitchen defence. We've got the Echo, not too much of a surprise seeing that he's been allowed through that banning phase. It really is generally a choice between the Maestro and the Echo going. You want the added range of that ACOG, but also just the use of those two drones at the minute is extremely powerful. So Jesus, I'm sure going to be looking to deny any plant opportunities that might come in. At the minute we've got 3 roamers upstairs by the looks of things, and that is again another important point for coastline, particularly for kitchen. The attackers are going to look to get themselves established in VIP particularly and open those up and see if they can get any vertical kills. So we've got Feral and Pi at the minute playing up there, and I think we've got the Jaeger of Zach just roaming down in the security area as well. It's not too far away from their main stairs and able to rotate upstairs quickly if needs be, but also back to site. So a nice semi-roam there from Zach, and that's something MnM are going to have to deal with. But an early kill coming out onto Doki, and that will be traded back by Citizen, so that will be Pi getting one for his team, but then being taken off the board now. Doki unusually coming out with the first kills, not generally the first deaths. We've seen him throughout the season consistently going in and being that aggressor for his team, so that could be quite a big start there. I think he's also leading, don't quote me, I'm pretty sure he's leading the Premiership on kills so far this season as well, so that could be a big one for Vexed early on.
Quite possibly Saves has got some information on his drone, and he's going to be looking to push on to a player on 90. The static camera is still available, and with a dead person it could be watched, but no, Saves is going to find the head of Feral. Upstairs roam clear has now been completed, and that's going to allow MnM more than half of the round to be able to execute onto site and figure out what they would like to do.
Unfortunately, they have lost the sledge of Doki, who would have been extremely useful upstairs. We're going to see Jesus just square things away with a kill onto Saves, so that will leave us now in a 3 versus 3, 1 minute 20 to go. But MnM having top floor control, I'm sure would like to have that sledge available so that they could start opening the floor up. But without that, down to Nello possibly with a shotgun, but we see him move downstairs. Not too much of a surprise to sort of forgo that vertical control. We've got kills coming out from Citizen before he is traded out. We now find ourselves in a 2 versus 2. Jesus on the Echo is still alive, which could be important. Dumpling moves in with a kill onto Nello. Kendrew nearly loses that gunfight, but will square things up at 1-1. He's got the perfect operator to challenge an Echo. The IQ scanner just coming out there and taking that first Yokai drone off the ceiling. I'm not sure if Jesus has another one remaining or not. Kendrew does have the diffuser in hand, and time is on his side as well. So it's all going to be about locating this Echo, but he won't be able to do it as Jesus holds a nice angle, puts that ACOG to great use. First round, Vexed.
What a great round for Vexed to open things up on. Not a round that it looked as though they were going to win after the first couple of engagements. MnM coming out really strong on a nice early roam clear, able to gain good site and map control very early on, and they did have plenty of time to work with. Going into that 1 versus 1 situation, I think there was about 50 seconds left on the clock. As you say, who better to go against an Echo than an IQ? You can deal with those yokai drones that are going to cause you a lot of discomfort. But ultimately, it was Zach that was able to clutch out that round. Oh, sorry, Jesus that was able to clutch out that round on the Echo. Zach this time opting for the Echo, and we are going to see round number 2 get underway with a hooker lounge and billiards defense.
It just goes to show the value of that Echo. I know it's a conversation that we've had a number of times, X. You know, when we're talking about ACOGs on defence, you are limited in your options. And we've seen Rook really drop off recently. I know that's something that X is definitely keen to see, the Rook dropping away in pick there. And that's a great example of why Echo has got that utility. He held himself back in the service area whilst his drones were still available. But as soon as he's lost that, what a powerful option he's got to challenge that angle with the ACOG. And great play there from Jesus. Not getting too aggressive. We're going to see the operators switched up a little bit. We're going to see Zach moving on to the Echo this time out. Jesus will still find himself on an ACOG, but he's going to be on the dock, and we are moving in round 2 up to hooker and billiards.
Just getting toward the end of the preparation phase now. Nothing too unusual coming out in Vexed setup there, as everything does seem to be in order and in place. They've got the VIP wall reinforced, which is always going to be very handy because that does provide a nice line of sight over on into billiards and the A bomb site in general. I think in this round, it's going to be down to MnM to be able to take some good control like they did last time, maybe push in from Penthouse Theatre side and just sort of start to do a very thorough roam clear. We're not seeing a pulse being brought out on the Vexed, on the side of Vexed, so there's not going to be much need to, or not much worry from underneath, but already Kendrew is putting the IQ to good work, and what better pick than to pick off the Yokai and the Echo, and he's going to follow it up with another. Jesus grabs one in between onto saves, but I think that's a trade that's worth making at this moment in time. 4-3 now, having lost a Legion and an Echo. 2 of your most vital operators. Doki coming in with a grenade kill as well. Not sure if the ADSs were correctly placed there or if he's just managed to sneak around them, but this is looking very, very good for MnM indeed. We've got Citizen holding an angle on the north window, looking into hooker, and he will find a kill from there as well. Feral now all alone on the ground floor, making his way through office. The site is MnM's for the taking, and I imagine the plant will be going down very, very shortly. Feral's going to have a very tough job if he's going to look to clutch out this round. There's a Claymore as well that's going to hinder his attempted rotate. He does manage to take it out, but I'm sure that Kendrew's well aware, and he is going to find the head of Feral, bringing MnM taking round number 2 in very short style.
Yeah, Feral in a bit of a no-win situation there. As soon as he takes the Claymore out, you could see Kendrew snap round. He knew that somebody then was on Cool Vibes stairs, and he just had to wait for that head to appear. And because of how the viewing angle in Siege works, you're going to see the head of an operator before that operator can see you generally on a set of stairs. So Kendrew doing exactly the right thing, holding his angle. He didn't need to move forward to challenge, and he picks that up for MnM. No surprise that we've seen the first 2 rounds go 1 in either direction. We knew from the beginning that this is going to be a close game. It's really going to be a bit of a battle, I think, but MnM playing much better on that. I think, to be honest, in round 1, I think MnM were a little bit unfortunate in losing the sledge early on. It just lost that soft destructibility that they were obviously keen to utilise. They got the top floor roam clear done really quickly in round 1, and I think ultimately the game plan was there to get into VIP and start opening things up. Without Doki, they were forced downstairs, and I think that played more into the hands of the operators on Vex that were left there. But they've adapted well from that. They won the gunfights. Kendrew getting a great first kill onto the Echo, as you said there. What an operator to take out first. That's, you know, somebody who grows in power later into the round without a doubt. So looking towards round number 3 now, we're going to have Vexed come in for a second attempt at hooker and billiards. And I think I was going to ask you, X, what they have to do differently here. I think the answer is win the gunfights on this one.
They just need to stay alive for a little bit longer downstairs. I'm not sure how Zach was caught that far out of position on the Echo to be first blooded like that, because that's not really a position that you want to put yourself in as an Echo player. You're going to want to squirrel yourself away somewhere and make sure that you are safe, and especially losing your Legion as well. That's a lot of information denied there. There's 8 goo mines that are going to give you very good indications of where the push is coming from, and it does slow the attackers down a heck of a lot. Already they're doing a better job because we're 30 seconds into the round and we've still got 5 players on either side, which is going to allow Pi just to play play downstairs in Blue Bar. He's got the support of Zach over in Sunrise, but Citizen opening things up again with that first blood onto the Echo. Dumpling is going to be down.
One man left on site for Vexed here. We've got 3 roamers downstairs. Feral will get a kill onto Dorkit with the headshot, so that is the sledge off the board. But as I was just about to say, they are approaching site quickly. Kendrew getting the plant down here, and there is nobody to challenge him. Jesus moving forward from Billiards, won't be able to make it in time. And what MnM have done here is recognise that there was only 2 men on site. They've moved in and got the kill onto the Echo of Dumpling, and that's freed them up to be able to just push straight into that hooker site and get the diffuser down with 3 roamers downstairs. They are now falling back onto site and falling hard, with Feral and Pie getting 2 headshots, bringing us to 2 versus 3. Jesus will die as he tries to long arm that diffuser, and they are going to have to make challenges on these remaining MnM players if they want the counter diffuse, and it won't be possible as Citizen moves in with a double of his own to take this second round for MnM Gaming.
Look at Citizen going huge there. Brilliant plays from him. He's standing out week after week as a very, very good player inside of the MnM lineup. He's proven himself time and time again. Fantastic first round, fantastic round number 3 there. Very well done indeed. And I love the aggression that we're seeing from MnM currently. That heads-up play to just recognise, and it's obviously due to good drone work, good communication. All these things are coming in. You can see there, 1.5 KD ratio for Citizen, so he is proving himself as a very, very effective fragger. And even on a severe role, which is, you know, could be seen as more of a supporting fragger role or more of a flex role as opposed to an out-and-out fragger as you would usually see an Ash. But the way that MnM were able to take that site and just the speed in which they were able to make that execute, recognise that there was nobody in sight to deny the plant, get it down, and then defend it. It got a little bit scrappy towards the end. You know, it was a great 2K, but you can't rely on that every single time. Vex was certainly capable of clutching that round out, had a couple of gunfights gone in their favour, but I think they're struggling at this point to deal with the speed and aggression that MnM are bringing, which is unusual because that's sometimes, well, often what we see from Vexed.
Absolutely. That's absolutely what Vexed are known for. Rush B. You know, get in there, get the strap book out and rush B. But it's just, like you say, MnM, sometimes the way to deal with aggression is to meet it with aggression, and if Vex don't know how to respond to that, and, you know, let's not get carried away, it's only 2-1 MnM, they're only 1 round in front, but if Vex don't manage to halt this aggression in the next couple of rounds, that's when you start finding yourself on a slippery slope. You're 4-1 down potentially, and things start to change a little bit, especially with the defence on coastline. You really are going to want to come away with at least an even share of that. So we can see now we're back to kitchen service. We've got a couple of operators, Feral and Pie, playing upstairs. We saw this previously, Zach in Sunrise on that semi-roam again, but they were cleared out quite easily from top floor. Dorky did unfortunately take an early loss, so the sledge was off the board. Will we see that played out a little bit differently? Dorky approaching very quickly here, sees the back of Zach and will open things up with a great kill onto Zach behind the bar in Sunrise. And once again, we're seeing a good start to a roam clear from MnM. However, not too much attention being paid to top floor here. We do have Feral and Pie up there, and that's something they're going to be careful of, because Feral and Pie have got that opportunity to get on the flank and get back downstairs. Jesus with a nice headshot onto Dorky, putting that Echo's ACOG to great use again. 2 minutes to go, 4 versus 4.
MnM doing a great job of getting the opening kill there yet again. Shame that they did lose Citizen, as his impact has been noticeable during the course of these early rounds. Feral going to find one onto the Ash of Saves from the top of main stairs, and he's going to be allowed to rotate back up through luggage, no doubt through Aquarium, and look to start pressuring onto Cool Vibes, which could be a very, very important location, as that looks to be where the majority of the push is coming through from the remaining players on MnM. I think he's maybe just looking to get himself down that hatch, but he is going to have to use his C4 to do so, which I don't know if he's just sort of setting himself up there for a bit of an evacuation plan, if you will. If he does start to get pressured, he has got an option of dropping down into sight, but Doki's almost certainly going to hear that from where he is located at kitchen door, and he does find the kill over onto Jesus. So with Feral being so far off site, it's leaving Dumpling all alone inside the bathroom. Pie does find one onto Nello, and it does leave us in a 2 versus 3. But I think with the positioning that MnM have got currently in the site control. They're in a very good position, but no, Dumpling is going to get the kill onto Doki. Kendry trades it straight back out. He's in a 1 versus 2 situation now. He's not got time to plant the diffuser, and he is going to have to try and look for these kills. He's got a little bit of information. We see a drone be shot at the bottom of Cool Vibe stairs. Pre-fire shots come through. I'm sure that they're developing a crossfire at some point. Kendry is going to dip out of that engagement and look to challenge over onto Pi over inside of Showers. He is going to hit a goo mine. That's going to be all the information that Pi needs, and he's going to find Kendry's head. Vexed winning their kitchen defense yet again.
Good defense from Vexed there. I'm a little bit surprised with MnM not taking the top floor roam clear on this time. They basically left Feral and Pi upstairs. I think they both got at least 1 kill each and were really hassling the flanks throughout the round. It just didn't allow MnM to focus on to the execute that they were looking for onto site. And I'm not really sure why they sort of forwent that top floor clearance, because in the first round when we had those same operators upstairs, they were sort of eager to get up there and clear it off, and that's exactly what they did, and they had a lot more sort of dominance over the map, whereas they did struggle a little bit that time, and I think basically it's because they left those 2 operators upstairs.
They just weren't given a free ride in a sense that Vexed again did a very similar thing in terms of holding upstairs, but because MnM didn't deal with it, they were just allowed to make those rotations onto site at the last second, and it really counted for a lot, especially when we've got, you know, MnM had full site control essentially, but just lost a couple of engagements on in the site, which meant that all the progress that they had made was all for naught at that point, because there were roamers that were ready to rotate back onto the site and trade out kills when it counted.
Back on to Hooker and Billiards for round number 5 there, in a site that we saw in rounds 2 and 3. Both go in the direction of MnM on the attack. So a little bit of a surprising site choice here, X. I mean, they've lost this one twice, Vexed. Obviously keen to get it won, but, you know, maybe Sunrise Blue Bar is available.
Sunrise Blue Bar is available. The mirror isn't in play as it is banned, so it does make things a little bit more difficult in terms of defending down there. It's certainly possible, and I think given how successful they have been on the kitchen hold, having the upstairs to be able to roam on, it seems like Vexed are doing a better job at roaming above than they are doing roaming below. Ooh, Feral there with some nice early aggression. We're going to see a run-out kill there onto Citizen. Feral's going to be very happy with himself with that one, I am sure. Nice early man advantage there for Vexed. That could be enough to swing it in their favour this round. We are seeing Nello bringing out the Dokubi now as well, so that is going to provide a little bit of disruption for the defenders, and no mute being played on the side of Vexed will mean that Dokubi's effects will be fully felt.
Certainly something that we've seen throughout the season from Feral is that early aggression, looking for those opening kills. I mean, he is on the negative there. He has had more opening deaths than opening kills, so it is a risky strategy. Kendry going to move in and clear Feral out on that Ella roam. But, you know, in this situation, it did work with that early kill onto Citizen. Doki getting 1 for himself onto Pi, so that's now MnM 4 versus 3. Zach is going to be tracked by, oh no, he's going to be on a Dokubi call, so that's going to reveal his location, at least somewhat with the audio. We've only got Jesus on site, we've got Dumpling just playing those cool vibes stairs, and this is something that we've seen from Vexed previously on this objective. If MnM can start to push site here and get a bit of traction, maybe clear Jesus out of Aquarium, or alternatively play from the deck, Nello getting that last roamer killed with a headshot onto the Valkyrie of Zach. So that's going to leave us now 4 versus 2, and MnM looking to mount some pressure onto site. 1 minute 30, they've got plenty of time to do this one.
It's something that we're seeing increasingly is MnM and how much time they're actually giving themselves on their attacking rounds to be able to execute. The progress that they're able to make in the first half of the round is astonishing. They've regularly found themselves in sort of 4 versus 1s, 4 versus 2s, you know, that's those sort of your operator lineups in the final half of that round, and you just get yourself so much time to be able to execute and to be able to gather your next stage of information and figure out how you want to push onto these remaining members on site. We've got Doki and Dumpling there almost certainly going to come to blows, but no, Dumpling is going to divert his focus and he's going to get onto Hooker Doorway. That's going to allow Doki to be able to rotate up cool vibes, and with all the smoke grenades, Dumpling is having a very difficult time indeed. Last logic bomb call now coming out onto Jesus, as Doki has already found the kill onto Dumpling, making this a 4 versus 1. Jesus got a very, very tough job to do. He's going to find his first, but the diffuser will start to go down. He's still got a lot of work to do in this 3v1 situation. Nello, I think that's his 3rd kill of the round. He is going to make that DMR do the good work there, finding another headshot for his troubles, and another round going to MnM.
A tough situation for Jesus that was never going to get any easier with that diffuser going down and Nello just moving out. Finishing things out for his team there and picking up his first, I think you're right, X, his first 3 kills of the game all in that round. So that's going to see MnM 3-2 on their attacking phase now. I'm sure they're going to be keen to take round number 6 here and give themselves an advantage going into that defensive phase. And from Vex's point of view, I think, you know, it's then time to throw the dice and they need to keep that aggressive attacking style that they've become so familiar with seeing from them. But I think MnM, if they can go into this defensive phase 4-2, are going to carry quite a lot of confidence into that for finishing things off. So round number 6, we are going to see Blue Bar Sunrise this time after Hooker has been lost 3 times by Vexed. They are keen to try somewhere else, which is not too much of a surprise. Like you say, they don't have the mirror, which is very useful in defending this site, but I'm sure they've got something else up the sleeve.
Yeah, and to not see a castle either is a little bit strange. Sometimes the castle does work very well, often used in conjunction with a mirror, so maybe opting for a little bit more utility in terms of maybe the Jaeger or the Echo is providing them a little bit more flexibility. I'm a little bit disappointed. I think MnM maybe got debated there. There was a clash pit coming out on the side of Vexed. Kendrew switches off the Ash. Saves has been on the Ash up to this point and he's been struggling for kills. So switch saves onto the IQ. He can still deal with all the electronics. Put Kendrew on the Ash because he's been doing very, very well with IQ in the kills department. But Kendrew just switching off there onto the Capital. Not sure if that was sort of reading into the clash pick a little bit too much maybe. But a double run out is going to come from Vexed as they do try and show some early aggression. It will, however, be fruitless for them. But Pi and Feral both getting away with their lives. The MnM attack now is going to be fairly heavily focused onto the Sunrise area and that small little entranceway there, service entrance. Doki, opening up things with a kill over onto Jesus very early on indeed. Traded straight back out by Pi onto Nello, so no more pesky logic bombs this round for the defenders to worry about.
I think we're potentially going to see another site rush if Pi cannot keep himself alive here. Feral will, however, get a kill onto saves, and Pi is still fighting the good fight from behind the bar and keeping MnM at bay. Zach with one of his own onto Doki, and that is pretty much the MnM attack cleared out apart from this Sunrise push. So that now allows Vex to just concentrate on what they're doing. Pi with a great headshot onto Kendrew, and that leaves Citizen in a 1 versus 4 situation. He will get the down onto Zach. He just needs to try and break these down into as many 1 versus 1 encounters as he can. The last thing he wants is to be getting himself into crossfires, so for the time being he's going to play from that blue bar window. The one thing he does have on his side here is time, so he can pick his fights, he can pick his angles, and he can stay patient. It looks like the smoke is going to be left to bleed out, which is a little bit of a surprise with how important that utility is, but they certainly won't want to lose a second man to that downed operator.
Citizen in this circumstance has got a very, he's in a good position to be in a 1 versus 3 situation, 1 versus 4. So he can use this time now to be talking to his team and to be figuring out if there's anything that they want to try and change. Instead, he looks as though he's just going to make a real brute force push, and I think picking up the operator could have done them wrong, but no, it will be Dumpling that just manages to get off the revive in time and find that one over onto Citizen. Citizen pushes that a couple of seconds earlier, it could have been very different indeed. I think he was just waiting for Vex to maybe make a mistake and get a little bit aggressive, because they are known for their aggression, and with 1 minute 40 on the clock in a 1 versus 4, your best bet is to just hold a couple of angles and see if you can get those defenders moving around. Yeah,
totally agree with you. Time was on his side. He doesn't have the point
to look at challenging onto that. Zach has got himself over inside of offices, but he is all alone, and I don't believe he's got any drones around him. Nello is going to place a toxic bait out there very early to be getting them out, but it is going to deny that entry for Zach if he was to choose to rush into site. Feral, top of Cool Vibe stairs, just going to be dealing with a little bit of barbed wire. That's no doubt going to give his location away. I feel like Zach's very vulnerable down here. He's all alone. He's inside of office. Doki is coming through servers, and they almost certainly know that he's in there because there's a lot of information on the side of MnM currently. We've got Nello used the toxic bait, so he knows that somebody's playing over inside of that office. So all Doki's got to do is try and hold this angle. Shots are going to go through. Neither manages to land a shot. Doki could look to get pressured now from the Jackal on the top of main stairs, and now he is going to need a little bit of support in his endeavours as a defender, as he is very vulnerable trouble here. If Zach did choose to just push that server, he would no doubt get a free kill onto the dock, but instead Kendry will find a kill onto the Ash of Feral with our first one. The slow peek coming out from Jesus Doki. All he's got to do is sit there and hold the trigger. Already holding the angle, juices himself up as well as his location is going to be revealed, and with being 3 armor, he's going to be very slow if he does try and make a rotation out of there. Zach finding a kill onto Saves. He's finally moved up through security, and he's now looking over onto Kitchen. Minute left. Who is this round going to go for?
Nello, just as always, ever present in sight. He really is a strong anchor player, and we see him getting so many kills in the late round as the final pushes come, and he really knows how to control his sight. But very promising from Vexed here. They've got some good top floor control. I would have expected to see this a little bit quicker maybe. They were pretty much gifted it. Most of the MnM players have played downstairs the entire round, but we're going to have Dumpling on the sledge now, getting in there. 30 seconds to go, and he's really opening up a lot of angles here. He needs to start making these pay, but Citizen will make Pi pay dearly with his life, as that brings us to 4 versus 2. Citizen getting a second onto Dumpling. Doki finishing things off with the last kill onto Zach, and I think the problem there was that top floor control was just left too late. MnM were then able to just have a flank, rotate back upstairs and pick up a couple of kills upstairs. So Citizen, Zach, I'm not sure. He spent a lot of time in office. He wasn't dealt with, to be fair, and he did get a kill from there onto Saves, but I don't know how he's going to influence the round from there at that point.
It's almost like MnM identified he was there and then just realised that he wasn't going to be a threat. They could go about with the business in terms of dealing with the other attackers and the other pressure. And because Zach had so little support down there, all he was left to do is just to find his own gunfight. And I think Doki must have juiced himself up there with the stim pistol, because there was a good few shots that went into the body from Zach. He didn't manage to find the head, and Doki had enough health in the tank to be able to pull that one out. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there from Vex. Now, I think they maybe weren't expecting the blue bar hold. And then that's possibly why they've really struggled there, because it really just didn't seem like they had all too much of a plan, you know, really not working together as well as we have seen them do in the past. We are going to go back upstairs now to Hooker and Billiards. This is, of course, a site where MnM have done very well on both attack and defense, and this is going to be match point for map number 1 in this first semi-final.
Yeah, I think one of the differences between the two teams that we're seeing so far is just sort of maybe a lack of speed in dealing with situations that are recognised. So for example, Vex there, you know, they must have known that top floor was completely clear, but didn't move in quickly to take control of it and to start using that sledge. Sledge didn't start opening up any holes until 30 seconds left to go in the round. On the flip side, when we saw MnM on the attack, when they went on to the Hooker objective, recognised it was clear, we saw the diffuser going down within, I think, the first 45 seconds of the round, first minute. So it's just about, you know, feeding that information back in and having an IGL potentially who's just going to call that quickly and say, right, decisively, this is what we're doing. Like you say, we've, you know, seeing Vexed operators out in no man's land like that there, and that's unusual for Vexed. I don't want to get on the back. They're usually, you know, a very swift working team and very organised. So, you know, maybe it's just not the map for them, and we're going to see a different performance when we move on to Bank, possibly. It
is strange because we talk about the speed on the side of MnM and how they're so good at being able to gain control, get information, and clear out roamers and get top floor control and all this sort of good stuff. And we talk about how they do it very quickly. Vexed move very quickly, but they just kind of get themselves into positions, and then it's like, right, what do we do now? And there just needs to be a little bit of a plan for after you've got yourself into office and you're on your own, or after you've got yourself over on into kitchen, or whichever the site may be. And I think that's maybe where they're just lacking a little bit at this moment in time, but we are in a best of 3 and there is plenty of time for them to show us what they have got today. We are not going to see any early deaths, although Saves is very lit. As I say, that caster's curse, sorry Zach, Kendry will find the first one, opening things up, but with Saves on only 1 hit point and a dream. He is going to look to get juiced up by the dock. We're running the double dock and rook combination now, so no echo this round. It has worked very well for them in the past, so a little bit strange to not see them bringing it on this site again, maybe.
Just seeing the Valkyrie cameras put to good use there, so MnM knowing that there is a Jackal moving into Aquarium, and they will have all that information being fed back from the Valkyrie there as to his exact position. 5 versus 4, they're going to see if they can get a little kill through the drone hole, but that won't be the play for Saves at this point. MnM just holding fast on site here. It looks like they're quite happy. Rook just taking some damage from his own smoke, but Kendra will pop up with a nice kill onto Jesus. He swings round to take another challenge at the hooker door, and at this point nobody can clear Kendra out from behind that bar in hooker. He is going to continue to use that ACOG to challenge. He's going to get a third kill onto Dumpling. That leaves us 5 versus 2 now, and Kendra is absolutely flying. Is that going to be number 4? No. Shots will go in, and Pi will end his reign of terror there and bring it back to 4 versus 2 in favour of MnM Gaming. Vexed really do have a job on their hands here. They've only got Feral on full HP. Pi is very, very lit at this point. Out comes the flashbang, so I would imagine they know Citizen is there, and in comes the challenge. Nello will get the kill onto Pi with the smoke grenade though. The challenge continuing onto Citizen, but he will not die! And he gets the Deagle kill. Unbelievable scenes from Citizen there.
Feral, unfortunately for him, flashing himself there and just allowing Citizen all the time he needed to get out of his stun effect and grab that final kill. You can see the players on MnM very happy with that one. Lots of smiles all around. I love that statistic that we saw there. When not banned, Rook use 6.9% of the time. That's a statistic I can get along with. But no, the first map will be going to MnM. Coastline 7-3, a very convincing scoreline for them.
Yeah, very convincing indeed, and a convincing performance. They really were solid. You know, there weren't too many mistakes. They operated very quickly and decisively, as we expect to see from MnM these days. So we will hand you back over to the analyst desk very quickly so they can have a little chat about that match.
Thank you very much, guys, and kind of what we expected, just that little bit. Maybe hyped Vexed a little bit too much there, but we've got to understand is the fact that that was MnM's first map pick. But great start from them, but from the second half we kind of saw where Vexed couldn't really find a way to kind of adapt and actually stop them throughout that entire side.
It was really tough because in the first half, things were looking good. It was 3-3. Every single round except hooker they managed to win, so that seemed to be the kind of crux of MnM, was that was where they felt comfortable and could actually win rounds. But the rounds that Vexed won were ones where one player popped off. Pi was popping off in one round where he got himself a 3k. The first round was pretty scrappy back and forth, MnM being a bit sluggish at points. Outside of that, this whole map was pretty much entirely MnM's story, especially on attack, and that's what we spoke about before. This raw ball of energy coming up against a team that is rehearsed, that is practiced, that is forcing you to adapt. They just couldn't think on their feet to be able to catch MnM off guard.
Yeah, overall, I kind of question the banning phase from Vexed. I'm quite surprised that they let the Valkyrie actually get on through. Citizen was a player I kind of picked out as being one of those more target bound players, and you don't want to give him anything at all. You want to make sure you take those comfort picks from him and make him play a little bit more outside the box. Sure, then he could have rotated the pulse, but I think, especially on Coastline, Valkyrie has much more of an impact because there is some very strong outside cameras that really do make things difficult for the attacks.
And what do you feel like Vexed could have done to maybe change things up a little bit? Because it was going downhill from there. They had a decent first half, but you saw there players like Zach from Vexed, not the greatest of starts. First 5 or 6 rounds weren't doing the best, but man's made a few changes, was getting back on the board in the end. But what do you think Vexed could have done overall as a team to maybe change the scoreline a little bit? Because that second half wasn't looking too good for them.
They just got caught a bit red-handed, I thought, at the very start. And MnM actually surprised me when they came out playing the same style that Vexed did. Round 1, Kendra sprinted straight through Office and in the first 30 seconds found himself 2 kills. We saw Doki do the same thing again in round 4. Didn't expect that from MnM. They're normally a team that takes things a bit slower. They'll drone things out before they make any big plays. And in fact, that's been a criticism levied against them before. Is they're a bit too strat focused sometimes. But today they adapted to the style. And then it came to the second half and they changed it all over again. So they're leaving Vexed having to change things 2, 3, 4 times in one match. That's a lot to handle for a team that hasn't done prep.
Another thing to also take into account is look at that round breakdown. We have seen only frags come in to end off a round. There's been no diffusers planted whatsoever. For a map like Coastline, that's very strange. Typically, the name and the game of Coastline is, especially if you take, for example, a bomb site like Kuka, you smoke Aquarium, you run in, you plant the bomb, you get out, and you try and hold it from the long angles. That's what Coastline was always about. That's why the attackers had so much things going for you. You know, you have operators like Glaz and Dokkaebi who could make it a nightmare for a defensive team trying to retake control of the bomb site. It kind of shows the play styles that both teams went in. They just kind of went in fire versus fire. Unfortunately, that flame from the marshmallows is a little bit bigger, but still, I think overall, if you look at the way that MnM, they kind of adapted well. I think their second half, they came out really strong in that first defensive round for themselves, and from there, they set the tone and they set the pace of everything that went out.
And this is the thing about Siege, is that ultimately when you're the defender, you're setting the pace and tone of that round. You choose what strat you're going to play, and the attackers have to adapt to you. And that, again, is where the concern comes in. You saw a number of times MnM doing things like really smart bulletproof camera placements. The communication was clearly there between them. It was forcing Vexed to make mistakes. And again, I keep on saying it, but that's the main reason why this is going so wrong for Vexed, is they are lacking that, not so much the coaching insight, but that synergy as a team where you're playing things a bit more formally. That's what they're going to miss out on by not practicing together very often.
Yeah, it just proves the point. I even said it from the beginning, where over the years it's extremely rare for a mixed team who just they feel like they can do what they like to actually be able to topple a team very well structured and high tier. But it kind of proved my point a little bit. But it's like I mentioned before, it's still MnM's map pick, and the next map will be Bank. Will Vexed maybe have a little bit more of a chance going into this next one? Is it more their kind of style?
Yeah. I would definitely say that looking at the way Bank as a map is, it's massive. It's one of the biggest maps we have. Villa does overtake that because it has an entire bottom floor, but still, that bottom floor doesn't get used. But overall, on Bank, you have 4 bomb sites, all completely defendable, that's a fact. Even sure you may say, oh, but the open area isn't that good. There's one operator which I think really excels, and that's Clash. There's a lot of corridors in Bank that I think really does excel Clash. I take, for example, Secret versus Penta in the first half of Season 9. I seen Penta play a great Clash. It kind of crippled the entire Secret attack where they tried to take control of upstairs, and then they kind of worked their way into the bomb site. If you have a Clash standing at you, given all this intel, you don't want to try and peek in and try and kill those players with that soft destruction that you're bringing with open up the hatches. So we really have seen Bank mold into this very universal map, and I still think there is some untouched ways that you can kind of perform out in some of the attacks.
And it's Vexed who are going to perform here, I think, as well, because this is a map with 3 staircases. As you said, it's absolutely huge as well. There is so much opportunity to play aggressive roamers. Yes, MnM did that at the start of this last map, but if Vexed are going to rally round, great map to choose to try and do it on.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And we do have a giveaway for you guys at home to try and win a couple of bits and pieces. So we've got 2 monitors from AOC Gaming and a 1 TB SSD there. So if you want to head over there and go to esl.im/giveaway and try and get yourself one of those goodies there. And I know, well, I can't, and you can't, and Demo, you definitely can't. You're not allowed.
Well, why Demo specifically?
Because he needs a good monitor just to sort his play out a bit.
Wow.
Excuse me,
shade from the host.
Who qualified for this tournament twice?
Oh, here we go. This conversation again.
Yeah. Was it you? Was it you? No.
Do you want me to throw you under the bus with my achievements? No, you don't. But that's now anyway. So we will be going to map 2 in a few minutes, so stay tuned.